Dear students, this lecture deals with inheritance in Java. You have studied inheritance in C++, so you all know that inheritance can be defined as the process where one class acquires the properties of another class. You all know which all are the properties of a class. Properties means the methods and fields that are defined inside a particular class. In a class, we can define variables as well as methods. Okay, so with the use of inheritance, the information is made manageable in a hierarchical order. So what is the meaning of the statement is that here you can see one example. You have the class parent and you have another class child. Okay, so if the child class is inheriting properties from the parent class, and if some other class is inheriting properties of the child class, indirectly that class can inherit the properties of the parent class. Or if some other class is inheriting properties of the parent class, that class as well as the child class are getting the privilege for accessing the properties of the parent class. The class which inherits the properties of another class is known as the subclass, derived class, or the child class, and the class whose properties are inherited is known as the superclass. In this example, parent is the superclass and child is the subclass. And in Java, we are using the keyword extends to inherit the properties of a class. The format is like this. First, we are starting with the keyword class, followed by the subclass name, then the keyword extends, followed by the superclass name, and inside the brackets, we are defining the fields and methods of the subclass. For example, here you have parent as a superclass, child as a subclass, and the format is like this: class, child, extends parent, and inside the curly brackets you are defining the methods and field of the child class. And through this statement, you are getting the child class is getting the privilege for accessing the properties of the parent class. So the terminologies that are used in inheritance is: first one is class. You know that class is a group of objects which have common properties. It's a collection of variables as well as methods. Subclass or the child class, it's a class which inherit the properties from the other class. And superclass or parent class, it's a class from where a subclass inherits the features. And fourth one is reusability. Reusability is a mechanism which facilitates us to reuse the fields and methods of the existing class. That means if you are defining methods and variables inside a particular class, and if you are defining another class, and if for that particular application, if you want certain methods that are defined in the first class, through inheritance, those methods can be accessed by that particular application. So inheritance is actually providing reusability. Now we are moving towards the types of inheritance. First type is single inheritance. Single inheritance means a class is inheriting the properties of a particular class. That means in this example, the child class is inheriting from the parent class. Second type of inheritance is multiple inheritance. Here, a class is inheriting properties from more than one parent class. For example, here in this figure, this child class is accessing the properties of parent 1 as well as parent 2. And third type is multi-level inheritance. Here, child 1 is accessing from parent and child 1 is accessing the properties of child 1. Okay. Next type is hierarchical inheritance. Here, more than one subclasses are derived from a single parent class. For example, here child 1 and child 2 are accessing properties from the parent class. So both are getting same privilege of accessing the properties of the parent class. And the last type is hybrid inheritance. Actually, it is a mix of single and multiple inheritance. So one of the example is like this: child 1 and child 2 inheriting from parent class. So if you are considering parent and child 1, that is obeying single inheritance. Parent and child 2 again single inheritance. Then if you are considering child 1, child 2 and child 1, 2, this is obeying multiple inheritance. Now this is another example. Here parent 1 is a superclass of child 1, so that is obeying single inheritance. Child 2 is inheriting from parent 1, that is also obeying single inheritance. Then child 2 is inheriting from parent 2, that is also obeying single inheritance. But if you are considering child 2, parent 2 and child 2, it is obeying Which inheritance? Multiple inheritance. Okay, so these are the main types of inheritance that are available. But in Java, multiple inheritance and hybrid inheritance is not directly implementable. That means we couldn't implement these types of inheritance in Java, but we can implement this indirectly with the help of interfaces. That is another process in Java, and that you will study later. So now let us see examples for inheritance. First one is single inheritance. So here I have defined a class calculation and another class main. This class main is extending properties of the calculation class. So here calculation is the parent class and main is the subclass or the child class. Inside calculation class, I have defined one variable is set and 4 methods: addition, subtraction, product and quotient. And in main class, I have defined 2 methods, remainder and main. So here main is actually the main function, and this main function is inside our main class. Therefore main class is the executable class. So with the help of this main class, I can extend calculation in the sense that I can execute all the methods that are defined inside the class calculation. Okay, so for making the methods inside the class inside the calculation class executable, I have to define one object. Since this main class is extending from calculation, the object will be corresponding to the main class, and through this line I am creating the object obj corresponding to main class. So using this line, that means through this inheritance, all the methods inside this particular calculation class is now the methods of main class. So using this obj itself, I can call the methods addition, subtraction, product and quotient that are defined inside main classes, as well as the remainder method that is defined inside the main class. Okay, so here only one object is required, that is corresponding to the child class. So this is actually single inheritance. I have only 2 classes, calculation and main. Main is inheriting from calculation. Next is an example of multi-level inheritance. So multi-level, you know that you have a parent, child is deriving from the parent, then this child is acting as parent for some other class. Okay, so here super 1 is the main class or the parent class. Inside super 1, I have 2 methods, addition and subtraction. Then another class super 2 is there, that is extending from super 1, and super 2 methods are product and quotient. As it is extending from super 1, now the methods that are defined inside super 1 class are methods of super 2 also. Now another class is main class, that is extending from super 2, and inside the main class I have defined one function remainder, and our executable main function is also defined inside the main class. So here the multiple inheritance is implemented in such a way that super 2 is inheriting from super 1 and main is inheriting from super 2. Okay, now this main class, as it is extending from super 2, it can access all the methods that are defined inside super 2 as well as super 1, since super 2 is extending from super 1. Okay, now inside the main function you have to create object corresponding to the classes. Since all the methods are accessible by the main class, I need to define an object corresponding to main class, and using this object I can access the method addition and subtraction that are defined inside super 1, product and quotient that are defined inside super 2, and remainder that is defined inside main class. Okay, so this is actually multi-level inheritance. Super 1 is acting as a parent class for super 2. Super 2 is acting as a parent class for main. Okay, now this is an example of the hierarchical inheritance. Here super 1 is a first class, is a parent class. Inside super 1 I have defined one method addition. Then I am defining another class super 2 that is extending from super 1. Inside super 2 I have defined one method subtraction. As it is extending from super 1, automatically this addition becomes member of super 2. Then super 3 is another class that is extending again from super 1. The method that is defined inside super 1 is product. Okay, so here the inheritance is like this. Super 1 is acting as a main class or the parent class for super 2 as well as super 3. Okay, so in order to execute the function addition or the method addition that is defined inside super1, I can do it with the help of an object corresponding to super2 as well as super3. Okay, because addition is now a member of super2 as well as super3. Now I am defining another class, main class, that is standing alone, and inside the main class I have defined the main function. So this main class is the executable class, and using this main class I need to execute the methods that are defined inside super1, super2 and super3. So now we know that super2 and super2 as well as super3 are extending from super1. So with the help of objects that corresponding to super2 or super3, I can execute the function addition. So inside the main function that is defined inside the main class, I am defining two objects, one corresponding to super2 and second one corresponding to super3. Using this object obj2 as well as obj3, I can call this addition. Okay, so this addition is different from this addition in the sense that this addition is a copy that is inside super2 and this addition is a copy that is inside super3. Now, using the object of super2 class, I can execute all the functions that are defined inside the class super2, and using the object of super3, I can execute all the functions that are defined inside super3. So this is actually hierarchical inheritance. So as a summary, we have studied about three types of inheritance. Single inheritance, this is the format corresponding to single inheritance. If A is extending from B, this will be the method. And multi-level inheritance, if B is inheriting from A and C is inheriting from B. So here at this moment A is acting as a parent class, at this moment B is acting as a parent class, and therefore the format is like this: A is standalone, B is extending from A and C is extending from B. And next type is hierarchical inheritance. Here multiple classes are inheriting from the same class, therefore the format will be like this. And the next type is actually multiple inheritance. You know, this is a multiple inheritance. A class is inheriting from more than one parent class, but this is not directly implemented in Java. It can be implemented using another process known as interfaces, and that we will study in the next lecture series. Thank you.